an unappealing pitching main slate, and a complete solo perfect lineup with me. This is going to be interesting. Welcome to the Perfect Lineup Wednesday, August 20th edition. No Laffy for today. He's got a lot going on. I'm going to fill the void by picking two stacks, a pitcher. We'll run it through the single lineup sim. I'm Josh Engleman, by the way. You should see it on the screen right now. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. We're breaking down this lovely Wednesday slate. We've got a tricky time on the pitching side. It is not a good group going tonight, but we got to deal with it either way, and it's going to be fun. We do have one exceptional arm. What I need you guys to do right now is hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. We've got tons of content right now, and boy, oh boy, is that going to pick up in the next 2 weeks once the NFL season gets started. Best ball projections, regular season projections. You guys know what we do when it comes to the NFL season. But I need you guys to do one more thing on this video, and that is leave a comment down below. If you want to try to win a free week of MLB DFS sims, this is the easiest way to do it. You just have to guess who's going to be the highest scoring stack on today's slate. And if you get it right, you and everybody else that gets it right hops on the wheel, we spin the wheel, and we give out a free week. Maybe, just maybe, you're the only person that takes that team, you'll win it outright. But if there's a bunch of you, we're going to spin the wheel to figure it out, and all you got to do is leave that comment down below with the team. So without further ado, let's get into the pitching. Now, when it comes to paying up for today, I don't really think we have a ton of options. We're not breaking through that 10K barrier. We don't have any of the truly elite arms, but we do have one that I want to go to today, and it feels like it's commonplace around this perfect lineup lately to go to my Atlanta Braves, and that is what's going to happen today. We're going to Hurston Waldrop. That is really, for me, a difficult name to say. I feel like the Braves have had some weird pitchers as of late. Hurston Waldrop. I just want to move some characters around in that name. Braves taking on the White Sox. Now, the White Sox have been better lately. We'll get into that in a second. We're going to start on the top pitchers tool. He is the number 2 pitcher in top 2 pitcher odds, and spoiler alert, we'll get to number 1 in a bit. Now, he's only 9th in value. That's not really gonna matter all that much here. He's got a very manageable price tag. He's also 9th in ownership, so think about that for a second. This is the Braves starter against the White Sox, who, no matter what you think of them, they're not good. They can be average if you want to go down that road. 2nd in top stack, 9th in ownership. This sets us up really well. Now, he doesn't have a huge sample in the majors. He's the number 5 prospect for Atlanta on Fangraphs, and the big takeaway for him, he's got one real pitch. He's got a 70 out of 70, well, 70 out of 80, I guess technically, but 70 current, 70 future splitter. Now, he's been in AAA for most of the year, about 90 innings pitched, 22% K rate, 12% swinging strike rate. Really nothing to be super interested in. And there's no real sample in the majors. I think he's thrown like 20 innings overall. But the White Sox have a 93 WRC plus against righties. That's their active roster. Now, that was much lower earlier in the season. It has been coming up, but still 93 is pretty significantly below average. And what we're really doing here is comparing Waldrop to other expensive arms. The most expensive arm that we have on today's slate is Mizorowski at 9,300, and I don't like that spot more than I like him here. And we're getting basically no ownership to our SP1, so that sets us up pretty well. I'll take the matchup. I know it's not the biggest strikeout spot in the world. He doesn't really have that kind of stuff, but his price tag means we don't really need it either. 4 people snagged the New York Yankees yesterday, which makes me very unhappy. I wish no one got the Yankees right ever, but unfortunately, they were the highest scoring stack, and now those 4 people are on the wheel to find out who will win one free week of MLB DFS sims at Stokastic.com. And the winner for today is going to be Swami 6397. Swami, if this is you, take a screenshot of the video right now. Email it to support@Stokastic.com. Claim your free week. Now we move it on to SP2, and if we're like ranking this in terms of talent, these guys are in the wrong order, but salary wise, this becomes a lot easier. This is the easiest SP2 option you're going to have today. He is the most popular option, but I don't see any real reason to get away from it. And that's going to be Shohei Ohtani, the key SP2 of the day. He's the #1 pitcher in top 2 pitcher odds. So price be damned, he projects as your best option. He's 3rd in value. He is the #1 guy in ownership, but it's 34%, which I actually think is pretty manageable given his price, given the matchup, and given this slate. Now, the only problem is that this game is in Coors, but you can offset a lot of the park problem of playing in Coors by the fact that you get to play the Colorado Rockies. They are 3rd in strikeout rate at home. They are 2nd in strikeout rate against righties. And Ohtani is slowly but surely getting stretched out a little bit more and a little bit more. Now, we're not going to see him going out there and throwing like complete games on a Wednesday in Coors. That's not happening here. But last time out, he did throw 80 pitches. 80 will work for us today, especially for the fact that he's 7,500, which is next level stupid. 15 Ks, 0 walks in his last 2 starts. He's got a 33% K rate so far this season. Everything for him from the mound is still working perfectly. It's all about depth in this game, but there's nothing out there on today's slate that makes you worried like, oh, he might only get to 4 1/3 innings. It's not that kind of slate today. And at 7,500, you don't need him to go 6 innings. It would be awesome if he did. But if you get to 4, he's probably striking out a few Rockies, and that's going to pay off 7,500. So while he should be technically the SP1 from a talent perspective, Shohei Ohtani in at SP2. With a relatively cheap SP1 and an unquestionably cheap SP2, we did have the option to go straight to the Dodgers, spend a ton of salary, and take the clear #1 stack on today's slate. But we are not doing that. We're going to have a lot of money left over after we go to our stack. And that stack for today is going to be the Minnesota Twins. Now, if we look in the top stacks tool, they kind of look like Waldrop. 6th in top stack, but technically they're tied for 4th. Same number, essentially. They're 3rd in value, essentially tied for 2nd. Now, we don't need that value in any way. Part of me kind of wishes these guys were a little bit more expensive, but even with that cheap price tag, 3rd in stack score. That's the 3rd best overall stack. They are 9th in ownership. And 9th in ownership means they're not owned, because the #1 team in ownership is the Dodgers. They're 20% owned. Atlanta is 2nd at 10%. Everybody 3rd down is less than 10% owned. And again, they are 9th. Now, for a matchup, we did this one last week. I think it was last week. Had to be last week if this guy was pitching. But we've got JT Ginn on the hill once again here. And I wanted to attack him last week. I don't believe that it worked out well for us, but we are doing it again. What you want in this matchup are lefties. 223 X ISO allowed to lefties this season, a 385 X WOBA. He just doesn't do a single thing to lefties. He does strike out righties at a ridiculous clip, something in that 30% range. 152 X ISO allowed to righties. It's not a great day for righties, but it is much better for lefties. And when it comes to lefties for the Twins, they might as well be free. The only problem is they're kind of all outfielders. $3,500 Larnack, $3,600 Wallner, flat 2K Outman, which on a different day would be really valuable to us, but we don't really need that savings. You've got Clemens with an MPE for 1st and outfield. That ends us on the lefties. You also have the switch hitting option in Lee at 2,600, who not a power hitter. But the righty side is where you do find a little bit more power, and certainly you find some of the better bats. You've got a $5,700 Buxton. Keyshaw sitting there at $4,600 for second. You've got a Jeffers option at catcher at a reasonable price tag. You've got a $3K Royce Lewis popping into third. So it's an interesting balance between lefty bats that fit the matchup and are cheap, but the righty bats are probably the better bats overall. Now, when it comes to Twins bats in general, we're trying to buy some power here. Against righties, they're 17th in WRC plus 106, but they are 5th in ISO with a 197x ISO, or sorry, 197 regular ISO. At home, 12th in WRC plus at 110. They are 6th in ISO, 192. So they're not doing as much outside of the power department, but we are looking for homers today, and I think we're in a good spot to find them, in particular with some of the lefties. So now we're going to build this lineup out in the single lineup simulator at stokastic.com. And none of these suggestions are coming from Laffy. This is just me. 8,700 for Waldrop, 7,500 for Ohtani. We're saving a bunch of salary. And you can see I went Jeffers, Keyshaw, Lewis, Buxton, Wallner. We have 4,500 per position at first, short, and outfield to fill out the rest of this lineup. We're saving so much salary. There's no ownership whatsoever on this lineup. So I'm hoping we grab some Dodgers chalk. We got a little bit of it. I click complete this lineup to get the optimal plays remaining. We end up getting Ezekiel Duran in the first base spot, and we're spending down for that at 2,300. But we do spend up at short to get Mookie Betts, and in our final outfield spot to get Ronald Acuna against the White Sox. Leaves us $200 left on the table, but we need to find out, does this lineup actually work? And we'll click run lineup simulation to find out. Not the biggest number we've ever seen, but we're still in the green. I would want to do some manual manipulation to this one. I think we can get ourselves to a little bit more of that Dodgers game, but 16% sim ROI, 0.1% chance to win, 30% cash rate. And you could easily make some changes. We've got plenty of salary to save. We're not eating too much ownership. We're off to a good start. If we're rostering the Twins, we're going to be unique today. And I think that uniqueness will take us to a perfect lineup.